What is going on, guys? Welcome to the OnlyFootball podcast. As we mentioned earlier, we are here in sunny San Diego. As you can see here, there is a naval aircraft parked behind me. I am downtown San Diego right now, and I'm just enjoying the vibe right now. Nice food outside. Got some chips and salsa. The salsa is green, in case you were wondering. Pretty nice vibe. Got myself a Diet Coke. Definitely enjoying that. Now, if there's one thing I could change is that people are pretty loud around me, but it's a free country, So we're gonna have to just make do. I was gonna come to the go live from the hotel room, and I thought this is way cooler. Richard in the chat, what is going on? I was gonna bring my mouse so that I could control it from here, and I totally forgot. But I will lean over for this comment and put it on the screen. Happy to have you in here, man. And he said, you in Southern California for the weekend? And I am. I'm going to be here for the next 13 days. So I guess the next couple weekends to be technical. But yeah, man, I'm, really enjoying it. And I thought what would be fun for today's episode was to go through an article that was recently published by the NFL. And as you could probably guess, the name of this episode is what it's going to be called: Next Gen Stats, Top 10 NFL Deep Passers of 2022. So this is not us sitting here and having a debate about it. Now, we kind of know right away when we think about the deep passers, we have people that come to mind right away. That, the gunslingers, the guys that throw it deep. But what I like about this is because Next Gen Stats is actually providing us data which brings people into the conversation that normally wouldn't be, in the picture. Richard said, nice, meet me up for a brew, and I'll take you up on that offer. Absolutely. It sounds like a really great time. I'll definitely link with you. But there's just some people here that you wouldn't have thought would make the list. The deep pass is one of the most satisfying parts of the game. When you see that moon ball just fly nice and high and it's completed, especially, if it's your team, it's probably one of the best, top 100 feelings. If I had to pick 100 feelings, I think that would make the cut. So, let's get right into it. Let's see who they actually pick. So the way it goes, the key metrics of this exercise, you have expected completion percentage and completion percentage above expectation. Might not sound familiar, so here's a quick example. XCOM equals expected completion percentage, a quarterback's average completion probability, which represents the level of difficulty of a set of pass attempts, okay? CPOE, you might have heard of this one, completion percentage above expectation, or expectation. Sorry, super tired, flying all day. The difference between a quarterback's actual completion percentage and the expected completion percentage, okay? Controlling for the level of difficulty for each pass. So you could say that in expected completion percentage is how many times you throw a ball that, let's say, the wide receiver has separation. It's a wide receiver friendly ball. I would say that's a higher expected level of that ball being completed. Sorry, these girls are just screaming at each other. And then completion percentage above expectation. That would be like if a ball was thrown, let's say there was a less than a 30% chance of that ball being complete and it's caught, that's when CPOE comes into play. Okay, so the reason CPOE is actually something worth noting as far as analytics goes is because if you have a window that, is, let's say, a 1 foot window between a safety and the middle of a linebacker, you got that one little tiny window, and the ball is thrown. That CPOE, the moment that ball's thrown, you already have on your X comp, let's say, a 10% chance of making that catch. But then you thread the needle and somehow the ball gets completed. We've all seen these throws. Now that ups your CPOE, okay? Completion percentage above expectation. Usually, if you have a high CPOE, you are really good at threading the needle and you're willing to throw a lot of balls that many conservative, protect the ball, manage the game quarterbacks are not willing to throw. If you look at the best quarterbacks in the game, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, you will notice that they do take a lot of risks. They are not risk-free. The thing is they can make those throws, or they trust that they can make those throws. They let a lot of balls rip that, Teddy Bridgewater's not going to throw. So these are the metrics and the passing score. And now we're going to go over last year's data. Who was the best at throwing the deep ball last year? Before we get to number 10, I'm going to tell you who just missed the cut. Mac Jones, Taylor Heineke, and Justin Herbert. Now, the fact that Justin Herbert missed the cut, you're probably thinking, if Justin Herbert missed the cut, what do we have here as far as a list? And this is not a popularity contest. This is just using data. Number 10 was Josh Allen. I'll tell you right away, when I thought about Josh Allen, I thought number 3, number 4. Number 10 was not the home that I had him. And, this is cool because this is the hard truth. The numbers don't lie, and this is just last season, okay? So, last season, Josh Allen was 29 of 75. Let's see really quick. Is a deep ball considered a pass over 25 yards? Is there when throwing passes of 20 plus air yards? Okay, so these are balls that were traveled at least 20 yards in the air. Okay, so a 20-yard completion on a wide receiver screen is not a deep ball. Just the ball has to travel 20 yards before it's caught. So he went 29 for 75 for 1,028 yards, 10 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. So 75 total attempts of 20 plus air yards, 5 interceptions. Not great. It shows that probably most of his picks came from trying to throw a deep ball. Deep completion percentage was 38.7. Deep X comp, and we talked about it, X comp means expected completion percentage, 37.4%. So I that's not like super high. The percentage that it's likely that ball will be caught was only 37.4%. So less than a 50% chance on average of Josh Allen's deep balls being caught. His deep CPOE, which is the completion percentage above expectation, was a 1.3. So I don't have any quarterbacks yet to compare it to, but I'll tell you that seems really damn low. This was a close call between another quarterback with very different reputations. Allen tied with AFC East rival Mac Jones in deep passing score. While Jones posted a better deep CPOE, he had plus 4.6% more than Allen. So Mac Jones' deep passes were more likely that they would have been complete. The major difference, though, appeared in deep passing EPA. One of the most important metrics as it relates to passing score, Allen's mark plus 35.9 blew Jones plus 13.9 out of the water. Wow, that is very interesting. So 35.9, okay, to 13.9. Anyone who watched the Bills and Patriots will surely nod in agreement with these figures, which make it clear Allen was exponentially better at producing game-changing plays on downfield throws. Number 9, Joe Burrow. Tyler Fink is in the chat. What's up? Where has Rick been? Rick has been working. Rick is working, but Rick's going to be back with us shortly. But we're going to hold it down till we get Ricky Rick back. And y'all are going to yell at him, tell him that, as much as we always say, like, oh, yell at him. It's like, until we do this for a full-time job, like, we still have to go to those, So, Burrow, he went 19 for 48 on passes 20 yards or more for 668 yards, 8 touchdowns to only 1 interception, only 1 pick. Deep completion percentage was 39.6. You could round that to 40. Deep X comp was 30.3 completion percentage. How likely that ball is of being completed, 30.3. And completion percentage above expectation, only 9.3. Okay, plus 9.3. So he had 96 pass attempts. It says passing score on deep attempts, 96. Damn, if that's out of 100, that is amazing. So he only threw 48 balls, 20 yards or more, which is significantly less than Josh Allen, who threw 75 20 yards or more passes. And when you think of Joe Burrow, you think about T. Higgins, you think about Jamar Chase, you think about that deep ball. It happened less than 50 times in the entire season. Burrow's numbers are comparable to those of the QB at number 8. They own a similar deep passing EPA per dropback, faced nearly identical pressure rates on such attempts, and posted similar average gains per deep attempt. But where the similarities end, while Burrow's 8 touchdown, 1 pick ratio on deep attempts is sterling, it doesn't quite stack up against the 11 deep passing touchdowns recorded by the 8th place finisher, who also separated himself with a superior passing score on deep throws. And who is that number 8? Derek Carr. Derek freaking Carr. 61 passes of 20 air yards or more, a completion percentage of those at 36.1, 11 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Deep X comp was an X comp is expected completion percentage, was 32.6, and deep CPOE completion percentage above expectation plus 3.5. Okay, passing score on deep attempts 98. When I first looked at these numbers, immediately I thought Davante Adams must be getting so open. Carr doesn't have many opportunities to complete passes that exceed expectation, leading to the relatively close or low CPOE figure above, which was only plus 3.5. But I was wrong. Carr exceeded expectations on deep passes to Adams at a rate of 11 plus 11.3. The duo was incredibly effective, accounting for 465 of Carr's 799 deep passing yards and 8 of his 11 deep touchdown passes. That's insane, guys. Literally, he had 799 total passing yards on deep balls, and almost 500 of them went to Davante Adams. And a total of 8 of his 11 touchdowns were to Davante Adams. Carr's CPOE was pulled down by attempts thrown in the direction of the other 2 guys, Hunter Renfrow and Matt Collins, the latter of whom caught just 3 of 16 deep targets on the year. In fact, Carr's place on this list is largely owed to his work with Adams, who helped produce most of Carr's deep passing success, while earning a first-team All-Pro selection thanks to his 1,516-yard, 14-touchdown season. And look, this is something worth noting. Josh McDaniels was so gung-ho about getting rid of Derek Carr, and Derek Carr and Devontae Adams had incredible chemistry. If anything, Hunter Renfrow and Matt Collins were, holding up their end of the bargain. It's hard for me to believe that you have upgraded your team by replacing Derek Carr with Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think that Jimmy G is going to have the same success that Derek Carr had, specifically with Devontae Adams. Do I think that he's going to account for 465 yards in just deep passes and 8 touchdowns on 20 yards or more? Absolutely not. But Josh McDaniels, he is who he is, and whatever the problem was in Vegas, I want to say this. I think it is Josh McDaniels takes over for a team that was one game away from going into the playoffs, and they totally suck. So if Josh McDaniels doesn't change anything, right, then it's like, wait a minute. So what's the problem? Do you suck? I feel like Josh McDaniels needed to sacrifice a lamb to account for the bad season that the Raiders had last year. And who is, better as far as blaming somebody than the quarterback? I mean, when you talk about blaming somebody, it's like the head coach and the quarterback, they're like neck and neck. So Josh McDaniels is like, well, I'm not going to point the finger inward, point it to the other guy that, Derek Carr, and actually send him off to New Orleans, where I think he's going to have much more. I think the Saints are going to be more successful than the Raiders this year. And I think that is almost 100% solely due to the fact that Derek Carr is going to lead the Saints. Number 7 on this list might surprise you, might surprise the hell out of you. It might make you leave this entire video, to be quite honest. Russell Wilson. He was 26 for 73 on deep attempts. He had 1,008 yards on deep passes. He was 6 touchdowns and 2 interceptions with a 99.8 passer rating. Deep completion, 35.6. Deep XCOM, 33.7. Completion percentage above expected, 1.9, so 35%. Passing score on deep attempts, 99. This one shocked me. That's the first thing it says, and I concur. And I suspect it will shock others as well. When I started this exercise, I didn't think Wilson would have much of a chance of ending up in the top 10, primarily because he had a bad season, but despite the wide-ranging problems with Denver's offense in 2022, Wilson was surprisingly effective when it came to airing it out. He finished with the second most deep attempts in passing yards of any qualifying quarterback, with significantly better touchdown-to-interception ratio than he put up on non-deep throws. Wilson deserves credit for posting these numbers despite being pressured on nearly 40% of deep pass attempts. Wow, that is such great analytics right there. There's so much to break down just in that, especially when everybody that considers Russell Wilson washed, we all knew that he was good at throwing the deep ball. He had the moon ball. That's what he had in Seattle. And most people that say he's washed probably would reconsider if they knew that what Russell Wilson did best, he still did great at it, right? I think Sean Payton he's going to see this, and Russell Wilson is going to be back to the elite form we're used to seeing him. Of course, one of the reasons I was pressured so much when going deep is because he tended to hang on to the ball too long and played slower than usual in 2022. I'm not trying to rewrite history here. We all suffered enough when watching the Broncos offense last season to know things weren't exactly great. Even when throwing deep, Wilson was an elite, as reflected by his CPOE on deep threats, which helped him pull him into the lower half of this group. However, one cannot deny that Wilson put points and yards on the board with his passes downfield. Number 6, Patrick Mahomes. 21 for 55 on passes, 20 yards or more, 744 yards, only 1 touchdown and 0 interceptions. Now, we say, they won the Super Bowl. We say that Tyreek Hill leaving didn't really matter. Well, I guarantee you, if Tyreek Hill had last year with Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes would not have had zero or only one touchdown pass of 20 air yards or more. That is definitely something worth noting. Bill's in the chat. He said, nice background. Going to have any time to tour the Midway. It's a fun tour. Hello, everyone. Yep, I'm going to be going live for a lot of this stuff, so definitely stay tuned. Deep XCOM 35.6, completion percentage above expectation +4, passing score on deep attempts 99. In 2020, Kansas City's offense executed so effectively that Mahomes' CPOE on deep throws was not high enough for him to crack the top 10. That changed in 2021 when a CPOE on deep attempts of +4.2 helped him a lot, land at number 6, the same spot he occupies here after posting a similar mark in that metric in 2022. The Chiefs' attack went deep at a rate comparable to most other offenses. Look, I'm not going to harp too much on this one because we know who Patrick Mahomes is. We know that I'm going to channel my inner Stephen A. Smith here, but we are well aware that Patrick Mahomes is a bad man. He's a bad man. We all know it. So Patrick Mahomes at number 6. Only surprise to me is that he's not higher. Number 5, Kirk Cousins. Deep attempts, 24 for 51, 862 yards, 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 93.4 passer rating. Cousins has long been an underappreciated talent at quarterback among analysts and fans. But the next-gen stats have always given this advanced metrics stud his due. So there is something I want to break down out of that first sentence. It says Kirk Cousins has long been underappreciated. They're talking about by us, by the fans, by the, if we made a top 10 QB list, he wouldn't be in it, right? You'd be somewhere around 13. And all he's trying to say is that when they do the next gen stats, forget about the eyeball test. When it comes time to look at the data and see what the numbers say, because everybody says the numbers don't lie, next gen stats have always given him his due. Very interesting. Despite facing pressure on 43.1% of his attempts in 2022, Cousins racked up yardage and touchdown totals that landed him in the 99 club in terms of passing score. Just like Mahomes and Cousins, CPOE pushed him past the reigning NFL MVP on this list. Cousins' downfield success wasn't just about Justin Jefferson. 4 of his deep touchdown connections were with other pass catchers, but Jefferson did get a lot. Jefferson did do a lot to why Kirk Cousins made it to number 5 on the list, accounting for 61.7% of Cousins' downfield yards. The two hooked up 15 times for 532 yards, 1 touchdown on downfield passes, posting an incredible CPOE of 31.3%. A figure that was undoubtedly helped by Jefferson's phenomenal one-handed grab on 4th and 18 in Week 10 against Buffalo. I remember where I was for that game. That was probably the most insane game. Josh Allen, all he had to do was take a knee to end the game and ended up fumbling the ball. Minnesota scores. Crazy. The CPOE mark was far and away the best category among qualifying quarterback receiver duos. Yeah, I mean, Justin Jefferson is doing what Devontae Adams was doing. Like, when I thought of Kirk Cousins, I think of Derek Carr and vice versa, right? It's 2 guys that you know are good, but you're not going to throw them on your top 10 list. You're just not going to do it. But when you look at Kirk Cousins and you look at Derek Carr, what do they have in common? Maybe the 2 best receivers in the NFL, or 1A, 1B, right? Jamar Chase is good too, but he's not quite Devontae Adams yet, right? Devontae Adams has done what he's done for, long enough. There is a point where you've done it for so long that it's actually a knock on you, right? Like LeBron James has hit a point in his career where nobody's like, he's been doing it for so long, he's the best in the league. It's like, we talk about his legacy. We don't talk about where he ranks right now in the league today, because he might not even be a top, 20 player right now. So Devontae Adams, he's been great for a long time, and it's to the point now where it might be getting to, the part where people expect him to decline, right? There's no way he's going to have another year, at the level he's been playing. Okay, but forget about him going into his 11th or 10th season. You have to do what Devontae Adams did for the 9 or 10 seasons. Let's at least get 3 or 4 seasons in, and then we can start talking about giving you your cake. I mean, I'm not going to just throw up these rookies unless you're breaking single season receiving yards. Just records of that nature that have been broken are pretty incredible. Definitely something worth noting.
So I'm actually going to be taking that. So if you want to close out, or if you want me to transfer you to a bar.
You can close it.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm just not going to throw them on the list that quick, okay? So, sorry, all that to say, Justin Jefferson is a very, very, very talented wide receiver, and I do think he's up there with Devontae Adams. Number 4 probably is going to piss off a lot of people, and I'm going to tell you that right now because this is just one of those guys that plays for a team that people tend to not like. I'll give you a hint. This is America's team. But is it really, right? Because everyone I talk to is like, oh, I hate the Cowboys. But apparently they're America's team, and Dak Prescott is the overrated quarterback that plays for them. I don't know if you saw my tweet, but I put it out the other day that Keyshawn Johnson posted, Dak Prescott is a better quarterback than Joe Burrow. And I retweeted it, and I'm not this disrespectful and rude. And by the way, whoever came in and just liked this video, shout out to you. And if you guys wouldn't mind following suit, that really helps us with the algorithm. Yeah, Keyshawn Johnson comes on and says, he's better than Joe Burrow. So I retweeted it, and I said, this is why nobody watches your bum-ass mainstream sports media. Because all you guys are doing is trying to say something so extreme that it makes people want to watch these videos. But you don't even deserve their attention after saying something that's stupid. Like, you can still have a clickbait type name, but, if you're going to sacrifice the integrity of being good at your job for views, then what product are you actually giving the people? You know what I mean? It's like, whatever you do when you're doing sports media, all I would ask if I was a manager of an entire sports media program, I don't care how clickbaity you make your title, but do not compromise the integrity of what we're giving people. Why the hell would anybody ever take Dak Prescott over Joe Burrow? Why? Sorry, but I needed to get that off my chest. Prescott's is on this list. He is at number 4. Okay. The Cowboys traded Amari Cooper to Cleveland, hurting the overall strength of their receiving core while creating salary cap solvency. Unsurprisingly, Prescott's numbers dipped in 2022. If you need one metric that illustrates a lack of downfield effectiveness from Dallas' passing game as a whole, look at Prescott's expected completion percentage on deep pass attempts, which actually fell short of 30%. It's at 29.7. This suggests that the Cowboys' lack of firepower helped opposing defenses limit Dallas' downfield opportunities. Prescott's ability to overcome disadvantages on deep throws was a big part of what landed him at number 4 on the list. And among quarterbacks on the list, Prescott finished with the 3rd highest completion percentage over expected. So he is threading the needle. He's putting a lot of balls in a spot that the moment they leave their hand, the numbers say that's not going to be completed. And so he's either getting really lucky or he's threading the needle, right? So yeah, Prescott makes the list, and we all know highly productive wide receiver CeeDee Lamb has a lot to do with that. Even though CeeDee Lamb has had some significant drops, if you haven't watched many Cowboy games, it could easily get lost on you because CeeDee Lamb is a phenomenal receiver, but he does drop the ball a lot. So this number could be higher, but it also tells me how important CeeDee Lamb is to this team. And I know that they got Brandon Cooks because they want to have depth at that position. But you're telling me that if CeeDee Lamb goes down, knock on wood, that Brandon Cooks is the guy that's going to step in and wear those pants at the wide receiver position? I don't think so. Um, and I understand that really good receivers, there's nobody that's going to fill that hole. But usually you would rely on, maybe four people to step their game up a little bit. It's not that you have to be great. It's just that you need a lot of people capable of, being better than good, or just really good. But it's like anytime there's an injury, you always hear the cliche from the coach, like, well, we're going to need people to step up. And it's true. Like, he's not saying like we need somebody to, take this role that's never done it. He's saying we need all of our sevens to perform like a level 8, and we need our fives to perform like a 6. Dallas is in a situation where I don't know if they would be able to overcome something where in 2 years they send Amari Cooper out. They send Amari Cooper out, and then right away, right after that, God forbid something happens to CeeDee Lamb. I'll be honest, sending Amari Cooper to Cleveland is one of the stupidest decisions that the front office has made. Like, why would you send somebody? Because you had a coach, man. You literally had one of the best wide receiver coaches in the league who is still getting 1,000 receiving yards. Like, if you ever wanted to see, well, why did Henry Ruggs, CeeDee Lamb, and Jerry Jeudy were all drafted within like 2 picks of each other? Why did CeeDee Lamb work out and the others didn't? Well, just look at Amari Cooper. That's who trained him. Amari Cooper was his big brother. If you don't think so, look at the Hard Knocks of 2020. Or was it 2021? 2021 Hard Knocks. The Cowboys were featured on it. The whole entire time you're watching it, all you see is Amari Cooper helping CeeDee Lamb. No, run it like this. CeeDee Lamb running off the field, coming to Amari Cooper with a question. Don't send that guy away. By the way, I love this song. I would understand. Just don't do it. But what's done is done. And I hope the Cowboys and CeeDee Lamb can stay healthy, because I think that there's a lot riding on that at this point. Number 3 on this list is Bill said CeeDee had only 6 drops last year. I had to look it up, but 8 each previous year, and he got better. Now that you looked at those numbers, Bill, I want you to actually take it a step further, and I want you to look up those drops specifically on YouTube, because I think what you will see is it's not necessarily the quantity, which I still think that's too many drops, but there was some very significant drops. Sorry, I just got a server's closing out. I got to sign this really quick. So, I'm trying to remember what game it was. I think there was a couple games where he definitely had a couple touchdowns off the board. There was one game that he's running down the right side of the field, and the ball went right through his hands. And I think it was Thanksgiving. And I think they were playing, I want to say, the Giants. Did the Giants and Cowboys play in Thanksgiving last year? The Vikings played the Patriots. The Lions played the Bills. And I think the Giants played the Cowboys. And I think CeeDee Lamb had a drop in that game. But, yeah, and there was a couple important ones, and that's kind of why it stood out so much. But number 3 is Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts, my confidant, my man crush, my role model, my everything. 24 years old. He is already number 3 on this list. That is really cool for him. He had 20 for 52 on passes 20 yards or more, 10 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, 780 yards, 109.8 passer rating. Wow. Y'all, what? That is awesome. 38.5 completion percentage for the deep balls. He had completion percentage above expectation was all the way at 38%. Deep completion probability was 29.1%. Have a great night. And his passing score is a 99. Hurts landed here. Shouldn't have been a surprise for anyone. As a quarterback of the 3rd ranked NFL offense, he accounted for a large number of the Eagles' highlights in 22. He fit seamlessly in with his team's new acquisition from last offseason, receiver A.J. Brown, powering the 9th best passing offense in the league. Hurts was stellar in every area of the game, including throwing downfield, breaking double digit, and deep touchdown passes, an accomplishment only half the quarterbacks on this list can claim. But he trailed Prescott on deep CPOE and passer rating. So why did Hurts end up ranked ahead of the Cowboys quarterback? Well, with so many players deadlocked at 99 in passing score, the best way to separate them was by diving deeper into the categories that help determine the metric. In EPA, which factors heavily into passing score, Hurts, 37.3, was clearly better than Prescott, 28.9, producing nearly 10 more expected points thanks to his 10 touchdown, only 2 interception ratio, which doubled Prescott's output with only 17 more attempts. Hurts also gained nearly 300 more yards on deep attempts than Prescott, although that is a result of Hurts' advantage in volume. I mean, I think it's just to be perfectly clear, it's not that, these attempts, right? You have 17 for 35. Whether Hurts and Prescott both threw 35 passes, it can be entirely different. It's 20 air yards or more to qualify for one, right? So, I mean, a 20-yard pass, I don't even consider that really a deep ball. I don't know about you guys, but I don't like that if somebody threw, I think it has to be like 40 yards or more. I'll do 35. To me, that's a deep ball. If you throw a 35 air yards, I consider that a deep pass. A 20-yard pass is, I'll call it a significant gain. But when I think the deep ball, I don't think 20 yards. So that's why you see, though, Jalen Hurts has so much more yards, 780 yards to Dak Prescott's 484. It's not just that there's more attempts, it's that Jalen Hurts was really throwing my true definition of a deep ball. Not the 20-yard standard the NFL's doing here. I mean, Hurts was used. You guys saw him. You saw him all last season. It was not unusual to see at least 240 air yard passes per game out of Jalen Hurts. Number two. Number 2 is a guy that I've been raving about this entire offseason. Ever since I started looking at the numbers, coincidentally. Oh, wow. These chips and salsa, guys, they're good. It's it's like a green sauce. It's got a good kick to it. They got some good flavoring on each chip. I don't know if you can see that. But yeah, this next guy, Tua Tagovailoa. He was 27 for 50. Now look at that. Let's just look at that one more time. Jalen Hurts was slinging the ball all year, and he has 52 deep pass attempts. Tua has what? He was hurt for, let's see it, maybe it even tells us in here. Maybe he missed 12 games. And he has 50 deep pass attempts, only 2 less than Hurts. That is precisely why I've been saying if Tua stays healthy for an entire 18-game season, he will have the number one offense. It will be the Dolphins, and he will be in the MVP conversation. And the Dolphins will be in the playoffs, and Tua will be in the Pro Bowl. It's as simple as that. Tua is a very talented person, and he has a really good team around him right now, and he has a really great coach. There's nothing lacking in Miami right now besides the ability to stay healthy. The first half of Tua's season sure was special. Weeks 1 through 9, Tua completed 15 of 25 deep attempts for 480 yards. Damn, he had 500 yards in the first 9 games of the season just on his deep balls. Tua had a 5 touchdown to 2 interception ratio, 110.4 passer rating, 97 passing score, and a CPOE of plus 14.7. His EPA per deep pass dropback was an eye-popping plus 1.27. This is where you're expecting me to tell you everything fell apart given the additional time Tua missed with concussion issues and Miami's reduced output over a 3 to 5 game stretch to finish the stat line, or 3-5 record to finish the season. But the quarterback's numbers don't quite fit that narrative. It turns out his performance didn't vary significantly when comparing the 2 halves of 2022. The biggest difference in his deep ball passing stats the rest of the way ended up being his completion percentage above expectation, in which Tua dropped by more than 8% points. Otherwise, he posted a perfect 5 touchdown, 0 interception ratio from week 10 on. In other words, he was good, really good, at throwing deep throughout the season, finishing as the only qualifying quarterback in the entire NFL with a deep passing EPA per dropback over 1. If not for the spectacular year of the top quarterback on this list, Tua would have been number 1. Second place isn't too bad either. And you know what's even more interesting is that when Tua took over at this quarterback position, do you remember the memes that were coming out from training camp where Tua was throwing the deep ball and Tyreek Hill was like waiting on it, and then Mike McDaniel had to go on and say like, Dan Marino couldn't throw the ball deeper. I forget what quarterback he used, but he was saying like, you don't need to be able to throw, you don't need to be able to throw 70 yards downfield to be a gunslinger. And we were all like, yeah, what is he supposed to say? I wish my quarterback could throw farther. And we all kind of just, we poured cold water on it, didn't take it serious. And then Tua goes out there and has the second best year with every other quarterback on this list for the most part, playing 17 games. Tua has the second best year, missing almost a half of an entire season at doing the one thing we thought he couldn't do, which was throw the deep ball. I mean, I'm talking, I'm preaching to the choir here. This was me. I was the one that was, saying, yeah, I think it's going to be an issue because Tyreek Hill is so fast. There's going to be times where he's running downfield and he's open. And he can't lead him the way Patrick Mahomes can. and he's going to have to wait for those balls, and it's going to be wasted opportunities. I said that. I was wrong. Tua is a good deep ball thrower, and if he can stay healthy, he's going to shatter a lot of expectations. Number one, when it comes to shattering expectations, number one, he is the poster child for shattering expectations. I'm going to give you guys an opportunity, if you're watching this, to put the quarterback that you think is number one. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. You know what I'll even do? Just for fun. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to put music on in the background. Who do you think is number one on this list? Welcome to QWQIK, the NFL News. My name is Kyle, and today we're discussing the number one NFL passer in the league. Please type your answer in the comment section. Thank you, Richard. See your comment. You said, yeah, I got you. Talking about liking it. And we got Bill said Joe Burrow. Just because. Now, Bill did come in a little late, and I will mention that Joe Burrow was actually number 9 on this list, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it went Josh Allen, number 10. Joe Burrow was number 9. And KC said Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes was already named at number 6. So, now, look, I said this is the poster child for exceeding expectations. Mahomes can't exceed any expectations at this point in his career. Same with Joe Burrow. I'll cue the answer right here. The answer is Mr. They wrote me off, but I didn't write back. Mr. Geno Smith. Geno Smith. Now, we were not nobody. I don't care how much you like to consider yourself an expert at football. Nobody considered Geno Smith the guy that was going to win Comeback Player of the Year and be number 1 in the league last year on throwing the deep ball. He was 24 for 51 on deep passing attempts, 719 yards, 13 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, 116.6 passer rating, a deep completion percentage of 47.1, a deep X-comp at 33.8, completion percentage over expectation, 13.2%, passing score 99%. Geno frickin' Smith, number 1 on this list. And you know what's funny is when we were like, hey, Geno, I don't think he's going to be able to do it again. Geno, he has limitations. Well, ask the next person that says that, what are those limitations? Because I would almost guarantee it that their answer to that question would be the deep ball. We don't think about Geno Smith as a gunslinger. We think of him as a game manager. And even though Geno Smith, by ending up number 1 on this list, did everything in his ability, everything he could possibly do to get rid of that narrative and to redefine himself, he did win Comeback Player of the Year. But ask your buddies at work, who do you think was the best deep ball thrower last year? And if anybody says Geno Smith, let me know, and we'll find a spot for him on this podcast, because I would bet nobody would say Geno Smith. Nobody. Smith clearly didn't earn 22 Comeback Player of the Year honors by playing it safe. The veteran lit let it rip plenty, completing nearly 50% of his downfield passes, over 700 yards passing, a good chunk of his 4,282 yards on the season. These numbers are all impressive, but what vaulted Smith to the top spot was just how productive he was when throwing the deep ball. Nearly half of Smith's 30 touchdown passes came on deep passes, and 13 downfield scores led all quarterbacks. This rate of success was stellar. 25.4% of Smith's deep attempts produced touchdowns in 2022. With this in mind, it's easy to see how he finished a deep passing EPA of plus 42.3. Going deep was highly rewarding for the Seahawks and Smith at the controls, helping him finish third in passer rating on such attempts. Add in a CPOE of plus 13.2%, which leads all quarterbacks on this list, and it's easy to see why Geno Smith was the best deep ball passer of the season. It's pretty remarkable stuff. And I'll just say real quick, this is why I love the NFL. Because every year there's a team that wasn't supposed to be good, and they're good. And there's a guy that wasn't supposed to be good, and there's a Geno Smith every year, man. Usually not at the quarterback position, as far as I can remember. Ryan Tannehill was probably the last quarterback to win Comeback Player of the Year. I think Alex Smith won it also because of the terrible injury he had. And the fact that he came back and, he almost died. He almost had his leg amputated. And he came back. That's on the list. But that wasn't really performance-based. That was adversity-based. Geno Smith, he's kind of in a category of his own with what he did last year. So as much as I hate it because, he was more successful than Russell Wilson was, in Denver, round of applause for Geno Smith. By the way, some people, as we move into the next subject, some people have been still lingering on to Tom Brady potentially playing football again, especially once he talked about the Raiders getting a front office position. Tom Brady just broke the news. And he gave everybody the answer that they're looking for because he was definitely thinking that this is the time of the year where, that feeling kind of rises up in you, that fire, kindles and turns into something. Well, Tom Brady said this: "I'm certain I'm not playing again. So I've tried to make that clear, and I hate to continue to profess that because I've already told people that lots of times," Brady said in a video he posted today. "But I'm looking forward to my broadcasting job at Fox next year. I'm looking forward to the opportunity ahead with the Raiders, and we're in the process of that, along with the other different things I'm a part of professionally and in my personal life. Just spending as much time with my kids as I can and seeing them grow up and support the different things that they have going on. And that's a very important job, and I take them all pretty serious." So, Tom Brady is not returning to the gridiron. He's not doing it. Maybe ever. We'll see. So, I don't know if you're a Brady fan or if you're not a Brady fan. If you are, I just gave you some bad news. But if you're tired of seeing Tom Brady in the NFL, then that was some good news. And I wanted to end on this because, as you guys know, the Denver Nuggets won Game 1 of the finals today. Against the Miami Heat. which was the Nuggets' first finals game ever. Sean Payton has had the media kind of banned from the facility almost. And then today they had an opportunity to interview Sean Payton, which is a rarity these days. And Sean Payton mentioned that he texted the head coach to the Denver Nuggets, like, congratulations. And then the reporter kind of made a fun question. He's like, who's your guys' Jokic? The Joker. And he said, the Joker isn't the player that everybody's thinking. Usually the Joker would be a tight end or a running back. The Joker, and I'm paraphrasing, so this is what he actually said. I've been lucky enough I've had New Orleans tight end Jeremy Shockey, Jason Witten, Jimmy Graham, and I'm probably leaving out a few guys. I'm not saying this younger player will be just like them, but he's got traits that are exciting, and today was one of those days where you begin to have a vision. Payton's vision was for a guy named Greg Dulcich. And I actually didn't want to even put this on in the podcast today because I don't know if people I'm playing fantasy football with are watching this. But Greg Dulcich, I said it last year. Look, the Broncos offense was totally trash. Greg Dulcich, who Denver drafted because they traded Noah Fant to get Russell Wilson. He is the real deal. He's got beautiful hair. I mean, look him up. Greg Dulcich. Just brown locks down his back. The guy's super athletic, super fast, great hands. If you guys are looking for a tight end, I've mentioned two in the past 2 days. The dude out of Baltimore for the Ravens and Greg Dulcich. That's your sleeper tight end. Obviously, get your Travis Kelce, get your Darren Waller, get your George Kittle, get those guys. But, the tight end market dries up quick. There's only like 4 or 5 elite tight ends. Once you're done with those, you're going to have to think outside the box. So Greg Dulcich is a guy that you guys should have in mind if you see him. Just wanted you to have the name in the back of your head so you can recognize it when you see it, because everybody in the NFL, this is my prediction, everybody will know who Greg Dulcich is by the end of this season. And that is a promise. So that's just a little fun thing I wanted to end this one on. I'm going to be having shorts coming out all week. I'm interviewing somebody out here that is going to be a Lions fan. I'm super excited about, a Cleveland fan. I'm really excited about doing that. He is a diehard Browns fan, has been his whole life. Let's get into the Deshaun Watson. Let's talk about the division. Let's talk about the Ravens and what he thinks is a realistic possibility to actually compete in a really difficult AFC North. So if you guys are just coming in for the first time, please subscribe to the channel and like this and share it with everybody else so they can, enjoy this show with you. As always, I appreciate you guys coming in here today, and I hope you guys enjoyed the change of scenery. I can't tell if you guys can, what you can see. It's kind of bright, but we got the Intercontinental right behind, and we got a really cool naval ship in the background, right? It's so hard when everything's backwards right there. But yeah, guys, thanks for coming in here, and I will be seeing you guys really soon. And next time I go live, I'll probably just hold this spot down. I'll probably come back to this spot. I kind of like the vibe out here, unless you guys are opposed to it. If Bill, shoot me a message on Twitter and give me your honest feedback on what you thought about the outdoor. I know there's a lot of ambient noise, so I would love I would love an opinion about the quality of the video. But until next time, I salute you guys, and I will see you soon. Go Broncos. See ya.